ReEnergize is potentially a program or a style of program that you could implement in your community to help that missing middle. So we'll talk about that a little bit later, but we know that there are significant resources for the lowest earners for weatherization and other building efficiency programming, and ReEnergize brings that income qualification up. So we are going to start off with John talking about Eagle County.
Yeah, I personally think that sharing this program with this group is my biggest potential, our biggest potential for making a difference at this conference. So it's just a wonderful partnership that brings together resources and does a lot of good for a lot of households. Within Eagle County, I'm sure this sort of graph is familiar to everyone here. I think we all have kind of a similar sort of view of greenhouse gas emissions. Most of our emissions are from buildings and transportation, and buildings are a full 50% of our emissions. Residential is half of that, commercial is half of that. And our key strategies in our climate action plan are to adopt the most current and above code requirements for new construction, and at the same time, we have to weatherize and electrify all of our existing buildings, which is a monumental task, but this program gets us closer to that, okay? All right, just a little, wow, the sound changed. Just a little bit of information about Eagle County homes. There's 32,000 homes of different types in our community. There's deed restricted, there's 1,500 mobile homes within Eagle County. And at the same time, we have a housing crisis and a lot of pushback to new developments. You probably have the same story where you live, but this is a new term, not in my second backyard. Yeah, so we also, like all of you, we have an affordability gap. And next slide, please. Our housing stock is especially crappy, which is probably the same in your community. Half of our homes were built prior to the most ancient envelope requirements, like R19 requirement for attic insulation. That's 3 inches of insulation in your attic. That's what most of our homes have. And yeah, they have all the same problems that all of our homes have around the country. That's it for that one. So Eagle County has been in energy efficiency for quite a long time. We started up a program alongside 2 other neighboring counties, Pitkin County, where Aspen is, and Gunnison County, where Crested Butte is. And we started the Energy Smart Colorado program, which is really an open market program. It encourages building owners to get an energy audit and then provides support, advisory, coaching, and then rebates. And the rebates are largely provided through Eagle County. Next slide, please. That program has blown up. It is a climate action machine. It's done 10,000 home energy assessments and has expanded to 18 different counties in Colorado. And yeah, it generates a lot of first steps toward emissions reduction. Next slide, please. So I want to get back to a mention I made. We have 1,500 mobile homes within Eagle County. During the pandemic shutdown, we started a conversation with our weatherization assistance program provider, which is NWCCOG in our region. I want to bring up Doug Jones from NWCCOG.
Yes, we started talking, and as soon as we started talking about doing more and partnering, the pandemic hit. And that was a bit demoralizing, but it was the best conversation we had on a weekly basis during that time. And well, basically we're a sub-grantee for the Weatherization Assistance Program. So we cover a quarter of our state, 24,000 square miles. Every county in the nation is served by this program. We qualify households at 60% AMI for WAP. So really low income, the folks that are in most need in our region. We do things like go out and perform a really thorough energy audit, looking at safety checks for carbon monoxide, safety with gas leaks, and safety with electrical. And we fix those problems ahead of weatherizing. And then we look at the building shell, right? And then we air seal, and we insulate, and appliance replacements. And we do all this with our in-house crews, which is really satisfying, and we get to control the process really well and deliver a nice upgrade for our clients. And we were struggling though. It's a great program. We were spread really thin, and we had low funding because we're in rural Colorado, so not a big population center. And we had a workforce that was tired of driving all over the place and underpaid, quite frankly, and so we wanted to be better. And the solution to that was to grow. So we started adding funding sources and going out and making new partnerships. And our goals were to be a bigger resource in our region, to be a better employer, and to make a bigger impact on climate change and really start doing a lot more work. So we brought in a program that qualified clients at 80% AMI, next income level up, and that was the CARE program. We did exactly what we do for the weatherization program, just a higher income level. We started doing 160 homes for that program a year. Became a $1.2 million program pretty much overnight, and we started to pay our employees more, have better employee wellness. So that was great. In 2020, John reached out to us and said, hey, we really want to partner and do more in Eagle County. And we used our COVID break to really train and study about cold climate heat pumps. And we learned how to install them that summer. By the fall, we were installing these heat pumps. Let's see, next slide, please. And next one. So fall of 2020, we started doing a full weatherization package, and then partnering with John and Eagle County to then electrify these homes. So cold climate heat pumps, heat pump water heaters, and induction ranges. And then we set our clients up for success and gave them induction rated cookware. And the results were great. We concentrated on a mobile home park that was on propane, and so many health and safety problems in this park. And then we took the propane out and not only gave them efficient heating, safe cooking, safe water heater, but reduced bills and air conditioning in the summer, which was wonderful, right? They're in this tin rectangle box that gets really hot in the summertime. So the air conditioning factor was great. We were a little worried that was going to increase their fuel bills, utility bills, but they actually decreased. Their electric bill actually went down because they were air conditioning their homes with such inefficient window-style air conditioners. Yeah. All right, next one. So when we started this project, we concentrated on a mobile home park, and we used a community partner in the Mirabus, and they were a trusted source of information for this mobile home park. They do things like COVID shots and tell the residents of this park what resources that were available to them. And they were a trusted network already, and so that was a big thing for us. We brought in other partners like Walking Mountain Science Center, that was a local nonprofit, and a community market to really attract people, because we had to qualify them first. It wasn't just going in and doing the work. Next slide, please. So just an update, we have half that mobile home park electrified at this point. So we're really excited about that, and we did the numbers right before leaving for this, and it definitely put a smile on my face to see the advancement and all the hard work over the last couple of years. With all that hard work, Eagle County really came and wanted to help us achieve more goals in Eagle County. And they helped us out with a down payment on a new warehouse in Eagle County. And so we have an operations center now. And it's been really nice to see and work out of there and add another office. So, next slide. So along with workplace wellness, we make a little bit of money on each one of these jobs. First, we can't lose money, and we needed to bring in operating capital so that we weren't running into cash flow problems with payroll. So we've gone from 8 employees to 30 employees, $1 million budget to a $5.4 million budget in 5 years. And now we're going to bring some of that money back into infrastructure. We're going to have a training center to train our employees and for our region how to save energy in people's homes. We broke ground last week. Next slide. We'll just touch base. After we did that, then Zuleika and Clear reached out, and we developed a new program for clients that qualify at 150% AMI, doing the same things, right? Doing what we're good at, saving energy, helping clients, and electrify when it makes sense. The wonderful thing is that when we started looking at this, and it's kind of wonderful but also sad, and John touched on it a little bit, we see the same problems in these households that we live in. Low insulation levels, carbon monoxide problems all over the place. And so we fix that and move on to weatherization. So thank you very much, Zuleika.
Actually, can you go back one slide? Just because I want to introduce more partner organizations in this effort. Thank you. So I said I work for CLEAR, Clean Energy Economy for the Region. We're a sustainability nonprofit based in Garfield County in Colorado. Garfield County also has this cool intergovernmental agency called Garfield Clean Energy. So all of the municipalities and jurisdictions within Garfield County, including the county government itself, contribute membership dues to Garfield Clean Energy and provide programming like ReEnergize and clean mobility programming and other things across the entire county. So we go from I'm not going to go into the demographics of our county because I don't have time, but it's a diverse county, and it can be hard to reach a lot of the residents of our county. It's very rural. So CLEAR as a nonprofit manages all the programs for GCE, for Garfield Clean Energy. So that will make more sense when I'm talking about the funding structure for ReEnergize. The main purpose for developing a program like ReEnergize is that we were seeing, probably like a lot of you, that there are lots of, or hopefully at least accessible programs for the lowest earners, but there's still this huge gap between those people and the people who can afford and prioritize doing these kinds of energy efficiency and weatherization upgrades to their homes. So we identified that 81%, because up to 80% is covered in Colorado by the 2 programs, CARE and WAP, to about 150%. And we could probably increase that and people would utilize it, but it was that important missing middle to make sure that as many homes as possible are getting weatherized. As you may know, if you're in this sector at all, it doesn't tend to be a priority for residents. It is not the sexy upgrade that they want. They want solar, maybe they want a heat pump or an induction stove, but weatherization kind of falls off the edge. So we wanted to create a one-stop shop. So if you, we have so little time. One-stop shop. So if you apply for ReEnergize, but you qualify based on income to one of those other programs, we will make sure that you get filtered back to NWCCOG, who administers those programs in our region, so that you're not applying for 3 different programs, figuring out which one you qualify for. Okay, so next slide, and I'll try to get through this pretty quickly. So this is our we've just finished up our 3rd program year for ReEnergize in Garfield County. We've done about $370,000 of assessments and upgrades on 125 households. I think it's interesting to just kind of look at the demographic outbreak of those households. So definitely, you know, this middle part, this 81 to 120% is a big chunk of that, but we're still accessing quite a few higher earners. And then also those lower earners for several different reasons, including they live in an RV, and so they can't access the WAP program. They are undocumented, so they can't access those programs and other things. Another important thing to note is that renters qualify as well based on their own income, not based on the income of the person who owns the house. So this allows renters to also, you know, reap the benefits of lower utility bills without having to put their own money into it. So currently the way ReEnergize works is we pay 100% of the cost of the upgrades, so that up to a certain rebate amount. So the higher earners get less of an overall rebate, the lower earners get more, but overall we're paying 100%. So next slide. What we have found is that very few participants will want to put any money into this at all, as I kind of alluded to. So if they get an estimate that is above their rebate amount, they tend to just choose or get the work done that brings them up to their rebate, but not a lot more. So that's something that we're trying to figure out, how to encourage people to have some ownership over this and be willing to put the money in when we're contributing as well. Kind of our main challenge right now is our funding source. So Garfield Clean Energy currently is the only funder. We get you know, anywhere in these 3 years, we've had anywhere from $75,000 to about $150,000 for rebates, and it's not enough. Like, there's like up to 150% AMI, and also we're leaving a lot of measures undone because people don't want to contribute. So we're still figuring out the kinks as far as how to encourage people to put their own money into it, but also increase the amount of money that we have available. It's also confusing because in our one county, we have 3 electricity utilities, 2 gas utilities, and everybody has different rebates. And so we're trying to work with those utilities to access their rebates, make sure that's gonna leverage our funding. So if they can get $7,500 from Holy Cross Energy, that's gonna, you know, free up $7,500 for more people to participate in ReEnergize. And then, you know, we just haven't been able to do as much beneficial electrification as we'd like, but that's another way that this kind of one-stop shop benefits people. So people who qualify for WAP or CARE can get all their weatherization done through those programs, apply to ReEnergize, and we can help with that beneficial electrification as well. So if it's an induction stove or a heat pump water heater. Okay, next slide. So I'm trying to talk as fast as I possibly can. So key program elements. Really what we want, like I said at the beginning, is that this program, this type of program is doable anywhere. So these are the key program elements. Finding a funding source. Not every county has something like GCE where all towns are contributing to a pool and then we can provide resources to everybody in the county. So figuring out what that funding source is, talking to your weatherization provider. I don't think this program would be possible without NWCCOG. If we were dealing with, if we had to set up this kind of work structure and agreement with private contractors who are charging private contractor rates, our money just wouldn't go as far. So talking to those community partners or those weatherization partners and seeing if they can contribute to this, I think is key. Having an administrative provider, so that's clear for the most part. We process all the rebates, we do all of the outreach. And we're doing a lot of outreach for WAP and CARE too, because we have a lot of people who apply for ReEnergize who qualify for those lower income programs, but they didn't know they existed. And then also a trusted community partner. I think we probably have all heard over and over again how important it is to have somebody out there in the community that community members already know and trust to tell them about these programs. It can be very can be very vulnerable to identify yourself as low income, and it can also just be hard to trust that you're getting something for free. Like that, there's often a caveat to that. And so, making sure that you have that community partner to really do the outreach. John, you're gonna have to talk like a million miles a minute because we're already out of time.
Okay, I think that's all we have. But just to close the story out, Garfield County is just to the west of Eagle County. And I feel like what Eagle County does well at is filling gaps and trying to use programs that are available to us. So we've adopted ReEnergize. We are partnering with NWCCOG, and I think we'll finish 35 homes this year, and we're planning to double that for next year. So we're trying to get this effort to a scale that makes a difference, but really it's already making a huge difference. So should we? Questions?
Do we have time for like one question? Okay.
Oh, just one. Okay, yes.
I think it was really, the microphone too. Awesome. I think it was really interesting you opening this program up to renters. I'm interested if you added any anti-displacement measures into this program. For example, if renters apply, they get the energy efficiency and weatherization upgrades, it improves the quality of the home they're living in. Is there any measures you're taking to make sure the landlord doesn't increase the rent? If not with this renter, but like after they leave with the next renter per se?
I think that's like,
mine might be a kind of similar question, more tightly tied into like the housing programs going on in the Eagle County and Colorado area. I wear both the sustainability planner, city planner, and housing planner hat in my community. So I'm always looking at like, how can I make this more efficient for myself and others? So one thing that I've been looking at is tying our deed restriction incentive and bonus dollars to energy efficiency improvements. And I'm wondering if you guys have been trying to work with like the housing authorities or anything like that to kind of tie more strings to incentive dollars in that same way, and maybe it does then cap rent a little bit, that kind of stuff. So thank you.
yeah, a little bit.
Thanks. About the GCE, how do you establish the fees, and does it change based on whether it's a municipality or a utility? And then kind of follow up to that, once the fees are established and goes into the collective pool, are there any stipulations around how that money can be used? Like, since there are different municipalities, do you have to have a certain number of homes worked on within each community, or does it vary?
Really quick to the woman who was asking about deed restrictions, we have a green deed program, and I would be happy to talk to you about it. But I'm just curious to hear about your experience with lining up contractors. We have a program similar to this, and where the choke point is our program administrator really has trouble getting consistency in contractors, and like just getting them excited about this kind of work and creating a pipeline. So if you'd speak to that.